Speaker Mike Johnson delivered remarks about the border bill earlier today, doubling down on not taking it to a floor vote.
The Republican-led House will not be jammed or forced into passing a foreign aid bill that was opposed by most Republican senators and does nothing to secure our own border.
ABC's Jay O'Brien joins me now on Capitol Hill for more. Jay, what do you make of Johnson's comments? What chance does this foreign aid bill have of passing?
Well, barring some procedural moves, it's really up to Johnson as to whether or not he wants to put it on the House floor for a vote. And you just heard him clearly say there that he doesn't. He doesn't want to be jammed, as he put it, by the Senate. The question then becomes twofold. One, does this put these conversations about linking border security to aid for Ukraine and for Israel right back to square one? Remember, months ago, that's what Republicans said they wanted. Then there were those bipartisan negotiations in the Senate, the product of which Speaker Johnson rejected and said he wouldn't put that on the House floor for a vote either way. The second question becomes, what's the future for aid for Ukraine and Israel like with that bill that came out of the Senate? Speaker Johnson says the majority of Republicans in that chamber didn't support it, but 22 Republicans did support it in the Senate. In the House, the question then becomes, can House Democrats partner potentially with moderate Republicans and do a procedural move, what's known as a discharge petition, to try to force this bill onto the House floor and end run around the Speaker? That's very unlikely. Those moves are very rarely successful. But right now, it's something that House Democrats are certainly getting asked if they're open to. And Hakeem Jeffries, as late as yesterday, said that all legislative options, in his view, are on the table when it comes to trying to force a vote on that bill, Diane.
Meanwhile, Jay, Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas could face a trial in the Senate. He was impeached by the House yesterday, and that came down to a single vote. How significant is that, and the timing of all this?
Yeah, Republicans needed 214 votes to pass that. They got exactly 214. It was Steve Scalise, returning from cancer treatment, the #2 Republican, that ended up putting them over the goal line. Remember, that vote failed when 3 Republicans opposed it. Pretty dramatic fashion last week. It now triggers a trial in the Senate. Chuck Schumer, the top Democrat in that chamber, Democrats control that chamber, has indicated that there will be a formal trial perhaps in that chamber. The Senate has a couple paths that they can take. They can do a formal trial on the Senate floor like we saw during the Trump impeachments. They can send this to a committee, a specialized committee that would in a sense carry out the trial, and then the Senate would vote on whether to acquit Mayorkas or to remove Mayorkas. And then lastly, the Senate can move pretty quickly to dismiss these charges. But you got to remember, Diane, we're in pretty uncharted legislative waters here, because Mayorkas is only the second cabinet secretary in American history to be impeached, the first in nearly 150 years.
Now, Democrats, Jay, have one more seat in the House after winning back George Santos' seat in that special election in New York yesterday. So what does that mean for the balance of power in the House, especially when you look at how closely this measure over Mayorkas passed?
Well, it means Republicans have one less vote to lose on these crucial pieces of legislation, some of them controversial, that do lose Republican votes. Look no further, as you noted, than the Mayorkas impeachment vote, where Republicans last week, when Steve Scalise was absent, lost 3 of their own, and that, when you had one Democrat show up at the last minute from the hospital, doomed that resolution. It shows you just how slim the margin for error is when it comes to the House Republican Conference and having A, everybody present, and B, everybody voting for legislation that they know is not going to get any votes from Democrats. So when you have that one additional Democratic vote, it makes it all the more complex. Think about it this way. If this Mayorkas impeachment had happened after that special election in New York and after Tom Suozzi would be seated, it would not have passed, Diane.
All right, Jay O'Brien on Capitol Hill. Thanks, Jay.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.